first flight of the orbiter Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower.
Colorado.
You're good.
Oh, we're live. Hey, what's going on? Thank you, Trip, for the countdown there. Welcome to Health or High Water podcast. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day out there. Brett Hutari here with Mr. Trip Parks, Ascend Performance Training. Trip, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Oh, that was weird. Dan, we got Dan here in the studio with us. Dan, how's it going? How's your day going?
Beautiful day today. Nice to see you guys.
Great to see you again.
Absolutely.
Dan's got his extra large coffee. Or no, I'm sorry, it's not coffee.
This is a chai tea.
Chai tea.
Yeah, I get a little bit of sugar and salt during the day, so I gotta make it count.
I need to
Flavor counts.
Oh, yeah.
That.
I need to do more tea myself. You do cinnamon in there? Do you do
It's a chai tea, so I think they have
Whatever, no.
probably about 10 different spices in there, I would think.
Yeah, you never know what you're getting.
Yeah, you don't know what you're getting in a chai.
It's like the KFC 11 spices and flavors.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we want to thank our sponsors here: Gene Planet, O2 Boost, Kalevala Labs, Health Profiling, U vs. U clothing brand, Adrian Bybee Coaching, Taste for Life Nutrition, and Hyperspeed. We are happy to have you here, man. We're really happy to have you here. We're in our second season right now, and just want to thank all the listeners for hanging in with us this long and almost getting to year 2 of this podcast.
Can you believe they put up with us this long?
No.
I want to give you guys some background before we jump into our conversation. So, Dan, one of the things we wanted especially to have you on for, so Dan's a high school football coach. He has a degree in psychology and a minor in behavior and cognitive neuroscience. I think the big thing today, we wanted to discuss some things, but wanted to get in kind of right away, like what's going on with football? How's football going today for you? Are you guys active right now? Where's that at?
Well, actually, can I start here? You guys interviewed, or you guys had a podcast with Lance Vieta.
Yeah.
And
he
and I don't really know each other. However, it's a small community. We were talking about that before, Trip.
Yeah.
Small community. He was my son's freshman football coach.
Interesting.
And he still keeps contact with my son.
He's a good guy. He's a
incredible
really good dude.
Guy, man. And shout out to Lance Vieta. I believe he's at Littleton now.
Yeah,
Great
he's the head
guy.
coach on
And I
there.
listened to that whole podcast. People need to get on there and listen to the rest of these podcasts on YouTube because you guys got some great stuff out there.
Awesome.
And him and I have a very similar story, as a matter of fact. I share similar things in the sense that I messed up a lot when I was a kid. I had opportunities and didn't make those happen. And that's part of the reason I coach now, right? And listening to that podcast, I also was touched by how he views coaching. You know what I mean? A whole person. We're talking about whole person health on your podcast here, right? And I think what separates, like a coach from the rest of the training community and everything like that, is that personal relationship, you know what I mean, that you build with athletes and that you carry on into the future. And I can't say enough about that. And that's why I coach. We talked about that before. I coach because of the kid that needs football more than football needs him. And I got to credit that statement to my mentor, who I coach with now at the school I coach for. I'm a JV head coach at Regis Jesuit High School right now. And I began in youth football 15 years, a Aurora Youth League, a Arapahoe Youth League, very similar to Coach Vieta. My perspective, and if this is what you're asking, but from then until now, is the technology, and I've been in the game for about 20 years now, 5 years in high school, about 15 years youth football. And the biggest change that I've seen is, with social media and learning and everything like that, a lot of these, I think the training level has increased dramatically. I mean, exponentially. I mean, the access to information that these kids have nowadays, the access to training that coaches can access. We were talking about the Glazer clinics before, doing stuff like that. That has increased exponentially. I mean, the sport is evolving even more and more rapidly as we go. I also see a lot of negativity, involved. I think some of that has to do with maybe vanity. I think some of that has to do with maybe I have to agree with, the parents. I'm a parent myself, and I think we get too much involved sometimes. We don't let the kids just do their thing,
Well,
especially at the youth level.
Well, two things I want to hit on there with you too is number one is the culture aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Providing a good culture so kids can learn these things and use these tools properly,
Mm-hmm.
right? So how about you maybe dive into a little bit of your history, how you got to this football coaching, and kind of where things are at now.
Yeah. So I didn't graduate high school. I transferred. I played football at Regis High School. I transferred to Smoky Hill. I made a series of bad decisions, and I was a good athlete. Had a shot. Did some camps. Went to Wyoming, and did my thing there at a camp or two, and had a shot, but let that go. And once again, I said that's why that's why I coach nowadays. But I worked really hard my whole life trying to raise my children. I started coaching because I had a young one. Somebody needed to be there for them. I knew a little bit of football, so I got into it. I kind of did things backwards. So raising my kids, coaching, doing floors, hardwood floors, and carpet most of my life. I've had a series of strange jobs. I worked in a genetics lab, for the cytogenetics lab for University College, Colorado. And that's where I got my passion for science all of a sudden as an adult. I was 30 years old when I got my GED. Started going to college at Community College of Aurora. Got my psychology degree, an associate's degree at Aurora. And then I continued my education at CU Denver, where I also studied behavioral and cognitive neuroscience. And during that time, coaching, football with my children all the way through, and I ran into a mentor of mine right now, and someone I still coach with, and he got me into coaching at higher level, and that's how I ended up in high school football. Now, being a father and everything, and being an involved person, I got involved with politics a little bit with the youth football, as far as organization and that kind of stuff. You know what I mean, and being on the board and that kind of thing. But so that's what led me into being a high school football coach. My role right now at the school is kind of a development guy. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of so JV head coach. We have smaller numbers at the school, so I kind of help develop guys that are transitioning between the freshman and the varsity level. And we have pretty short numbers, so I get to work pretty close-handed with most of those guys.
Nice, man. Nice. So what are some current issues you're seeing in football right now?
Like I said, the overall attitude, I think, needs work a little bit. We're seeing a decrease in referees. You know what I mean? We're having a hard time finding coaches, honestly. You know what I mean? At the youth level, especially, and high school level. I think the relationship needs to be repaired between the referees and the coaches and the parents. And I think we need to get back to focusing on whole person health and development with youth athletes. I mean, all the way through high school, because there's a lot going on. I mean, there's a lot going on in these developmental years, you know.
100%. We, the podcast that Lance came on with, we really talked about, kids that are overtraining, doing too many sports at the same time, burning themselves out, and like you said, parents being a little too over involved with things, right?
Mhm.
So, what are some solutions that you see, in the future here to accomplish those goals of making sure the kids playing the right sport, making sure that they're being healthy all around? Like, what are some solutions that you see, or possible solutions you see for at least football?
Involvement.
Involvement.
Being there. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've sat at a field for a half an hour waiting for, parents to show up to pick up the kid. You know what I mean? And I understand we all have things going on, and, we're late, and I've accidentally been late to pick up my kid from school. I've done it myself, you know what I mean? But you got to be there. You got to be involved. And sometimes that means stepping outside of your own family and getting involved, you know what I mean, with other children too, you know what I mean? And putting yourself out there. And so that's my focus right now, you know what I mean? Recently, I suffered an event in my life where I almost died. And that was from my own not watching my own health through the years. I told you I used to be about 230 pounds now. I used to be 330 pounds about 2 years ago. So I lost about 100 pounds, and a lot of it was from illness. When I had this bypass and everything, I had to recover. I had to eat differently, save my kidneys, so I had to watch the salt and the sugar and everything like that. So got myself back to a place now where I can. So I'm taking this as another shot at life. This is my second chance. Everything I do now, this is borrowed time. Everything I do now has to count, right? And so everything that I do from this point forward, whether it be coaching, whether it be whatever work I do in the future, love to get into some kind of training. I'd like to do some lineman training in the future, specific, coaching. But it has to be geared towards helping other people. And I'm in a place right now where I can help children. But I think that's the attitude that we, that we all need to take. Honestly, the base root of most problems in our society is that people don't care enough about other people. People not caring enough about other people is what puts us in a place where we all feel hopeless, you know what I mean? And it's just putting a hand out, you know what I mean? Waiting for the kid until his parents come home, you know what I mean? Invite the kid that's not popular over to your house to hang out with your kid. You know what I mean? When you're training out with your son, right? When I'm training out with my son, invite other people out, whether they come or not, that's up to them, but invite those other people out and bring other people in. If you have expertise, if I have expertise, in lineman training, I'd love to invite other kids out, you know what I mean, on the team to come and train with my son, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. I think that's what we need. Just be community. Be a good person, And there's somebody passed away recently in our community. I'm not going to mention his name, but his big thing was be a good person, and we get, kids are wearing shirts right now in honor of him. But I think that's the main thing that we need to do right now is reach across the table. You know what I mean? Communicate. I see that's another big thing too. I invite youth coaches, get out there. There's a clinic happening. It's free. Go out there and learn some football. Get out there and learn some football and help share the information. I'm an open book. Anybody can come. Reach out to me. You want to learn about football, especially line stuff? Call me. Talk to me. I'm not into withholding information, and you know what I mean, and keeping, you know what I mean, keeping you out of the loop because I think it's gonna, help me defeat you. I'd rather you have the information. The game is evolving, right? I'm gonna keep learning. Let's learn together. And I think that's the attitude we all need to have.
For sure. Brett's got to step out here. He's got a client. But I do, if it's okay with you, I really want to kind of talk about your medical history with things and what you're kind of going through, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So, what's going on with you medically? I know you said you have a new lease on life with things. What have you been going through, and how have you been getting through it?
I, being a big guy most of my life, and being a tough guy, but that's the perspective I had of myself. I never really went to the doctor or took care of myself very well. I ate what I wanted. I drank alcohol and I lived just the way I wanted to. And I probably had fatty liver disease for a long time.
Cirrhosis?
I find out. Yeah, so I end up with a tumor and cirrhosis. And a complication of that is something called there's tension on your varices, on your veins.
Okay.
And so I actually had a condition where the vein burst in my throat. And so the fix for that is to do a bypass of your liver. And so during that process, I lost a lot of blood, and I was out for a couple days, and they were able to save me. And I had a personal experience during that time that brought me, and I know your show isn't about spirituality, but it brought me closer to God, And so coming out of that experience, I'm really now just focused on what I feel to be God's will, and the expertise that I have in my life are few, but I'm trying to use those things. My cooking abilities, my chef abilities. I have some artistic abilities and some building abilities from my work that I've done during my life. And I think maybe through longevity have become a good coach.
Yeah. That wanting to live a few more years, it's worth it,
Wisdom plays a part,
Yeah, 100%. And then, there's you and I kind of talked a little bit about this. My mom had her stroke and everything, and it seems like everyone's going through some kind of health crises or one another, right? Mm-hmm. And you and I were talking about, you worked in the genetic department, or the genetic department in Colorado.
Cytogenetics lab.
Yeah, cytogenetics lab.
As in the administrative,
but you're still around it, still around all that kind of stuff.
It really sparked my interest, yeah.
Right, and I think that's gonna, that's why we built some performance training with the genetics involved, is because we think that's the next big thing. We're talking about CRISPR and what have you, and cytogenetics is about genetic diseases, right?
Yes.
Yeah, genetic-based diseases like sickle cell, those kind of things.
Yes,
right?
And they'll do prenatal. Studies. And all kinds of different things. Yeah.
Well, it's just crazy how far it's come. Like CRISPR, you can literally change the genetics of your baby in utero.
That's incredible to think about. Yeah. We were talking beforehand about the ethical questions there and moral questions that may arise there. That would be interesting to think through.
Well, and we had the same kind of ethical dilemma when cloning first became really big in the 90s, right? Now we're seeing like the next evolution of what that is, right? Because they were copying genetics right now. Now they're able to edit the genetics.
Right.
That's it. And everyone listening, edit your genes. Like you could technically go from blue eyes to green eyes if you really wanted to. You could cure sickle cell disease. So it's just kind of crazy. Like, you're around that, and you understood a lot about what we were explaining about genetics and what we do. I know we're getting kind of towards the end of the episode here. I know you're working on building a lineman program. You've got some other. We're still working with the school there. So let's say someone does want to coach with you and whatnot. How can they find you?
You can contact me on social media. I have one social media page, Instagram. I think I may make that public. I'm a pretty private person, but I may put that out there. You can find me. You can email me at bigtyme33@comcast.net. That's my personal email out there.
I found you on LinkedIn though too.
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. Just reach out to me. I'm happy to talk with you and help you. My mentor helped me, and I feel like it's my obligation to help other good coaches that have good direction and moral character. I want to help you succeed in football. So you can go ahead and reach out to me, and I'll talk X's and O's with you anytime. I help you get to where you deserve to be if that's the kind of coach you're going to be. Yeah.
Well, absolutely. Thank you so much for coming by. Thank you for coming on the podcast. I really can't wait to see what the future is for both of us, and potential partnerships down the road and helping other people. But thank you so much for coming on, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Trip.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
You guys can't see it, but we just shook hands. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast here. You guys can find us anywhere podcasts are listened to or watch. I mean, I guess you can watch audio technically if you're... Yeah, whatever. All right, so make sure you guys go out liking, sharing, any bit you guys can do to help us out with that. Talk to your family about this podcast. We're out in a goal to try to help you guys out, as well as us learn. Education's everything. Growing should never ever stop. So you guys don't stop going. And if we don't hear back from you, Merry Christmas, Merry what is it? Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa?
That sounds good to me.
All of them. All the holidays. Happy holidays.